This is the start of side 2. And we now return to local news with Joan, who will start with sports.
Enfield and Haringey Athletic Club walker Callum Wilkinson shattered his personal best time at the IAAF race walking competition in Lugano in Switzerland. Wilkinson, who was representing England athletics, bettered his PB by more than 2 minutes as he crossed the line in 5th place in the under-18 race in the time of 46.36. He was the second European athlete to cross the line and was England's leading junior walker at that meeting. For Wilkinson, who celebrated his 17th birthday last week, this was his first race, following a demanding winner schedule, and he met 3 targets important in mapping out the rest of his season. Meanwhile, Enfield and Haringey AC will be holding a 15-minute walk-a-mile challenge at Donkey Lane on Saturday. The event starts at 12:30 p.m, with registration taking place before the race between 11:30 a.m. and 12:15 p.m. For more details, email stroller49@gmail.com. Meanwhile, there were a total of 21 new personal best times at the Grovelands Park run on Saturday, and Nicholas Borria crossed the line in first place at that event. Out of a total of 73 runners, Borria stopped the clock in 19.07 to seal top spot, while Sal Ozakskin was second over the line in 19.32. The top 3 in the men's race was rounded off by Pat Mama, who clocked 19.51. In the women's race, Sonia Spearing was first over the line in 21.56. Chiara Borg was second in 22.01, and Vanessa Goodwin-Matthews was third with a time of 22.52.
A resounding 3-0 victory at home to Hampton and Richmond Borough on Saturday saw Enfield Town climb out of the Ryman Premier Division's relegation zone for the first time in 4 months. Town went into the match 4th from bottom in the table, trailing East Thurrock United on goal difference, but their win, coupled with East Thurrock's 5-0 defeat at leaders Wealdstone, was enough to pull them 3 points clear of the drop zone before last night's action. First half goals from Liam Hope and Corey Whitley put the hosts in control, and Jamie Richards' 58th minute strike further extended the lead to seal Town's second successive win. The lads were brilliant from start to finish, said manager George Borg. It was great that they managed to put in a performance like that, and we took a very good side to the cleaners. The supporters have been brilliant since I got here, and they never stopped singing again. The whole place is buzzing at the moment. We seemed to be dead and buried when I arrived, but we've managed to turn it around, and hopefully we can continue to do that.
And I have a sports item, which is rugby union. Enfield Ignatians ran in 7 tries on their way to recording a 43-21 bonus point victory at Basement side Lowestoft and Yarmouth in London Division 2 North East on Saturday. Ed Barker touchdown twice, while Liam Horn, Jordan Wilson, Luke Ellis, Frank Stavru and Tan Mabonu also crossed the line in a game which saw Ignatians hand debuts to 3 former Colts. Wilson added 4 conversions as part of a 13-point haul, which enabled him to overtake Tom Price's overall club points, scoring record at London 2 level. Coach Emil Hertz said, "We took our foot off the gas in the second half, but we played some good rugby and I can't complain." Ignatians go to Chelmsford on Saturday.
Extra primary school places are needed in southwest Enfield. It was in the Advertiser on February the 12th. But it is important to look in depth across the whole area, not just Southgate and Winchmore Hill. There is strong evidence that the biggest problems are further south, around the North Circular Road. Parents in those areas are equally entitled to local schools for their kids. I obtained figures from the council last autumn that split the projected southwest Enfield shortfall of 145 reception places by 2022 to 2023 into 3 planning areas. The shortfalls were 69 in Boundary, covered by Oakthorpe and Tottenhall, 67 in Bowes Southgate Green, and just 9 in Winchmore. The council has since revised its overall projection and has not yet answered my request 4 weeks ago for revised area figures. But the geographical balance is probably similar. Data from the London Schools Atlas suggests that the fastest growth in the primary population over 2012 to 2017 will be in the southernmost areas, including parts of Bowes Southgate Green being redeveloped along the North Circular Road. A school on the Groveland site would fall in the Highlands area, outside southwest Enfield, according to the council. The Highland figures must be highly relevant as they show a surplus of 9 places by 2022 to 2023. If Ashmole Academy's plans to own its own primary school in 2015 goes ahead, then both Highlands and both Southgate Green would expect to benefit. There are real problems in parts of the Southgate and Winchmore Hill areas, and the admission criteria create dead areas, then further penalizing families living there. It is agonizing for anyone in that position wherever they live. But the geographical detail strongly suggests that the biggest problem lies in the areas close to the North Circular Road. So, why are the council's efforts in southwest Enfield centred on the northern end of the area? Are parents in Boundary expected to send their children by bus to the other end of the borough? This report was written by Michael Clary, Joint Chairman of Groveland's Residents Association. Wow.
Another letter from Councillor Andrew Stafford, Cabinet Member for Finance and Property and Ward Councillor Labour for Edmonton Green at Enfield Borough Council. Your article about the outrage over the new flats for Southgate Town Hall contained a number of points made by MP David Burrows, which, to say the least, appear to mislead local residents. The article appeared in the Enfield Independent on Wednesday, March the 12th. We have consulted widely about the future plans for the site. Various housing options were considered, and the housing developer is now submitting the proposals via the Council's Planning Committee. If local people have concerns about those proposals, then, as ever, our planning committee will, I am sure, be pleased to hear them. The administration has throughout this project, listened very carefully to people's needs, and we have every intention of continuing to do so. Similarly, we looked at all the options for the refurbishment of the Palmer's Green Library and chose the option that will enable that facility to be secured for the longer term, with much improved access, appearance and services. The Planning Committee has already approved the refurbishment of the library on February 25th, 2014. MP David Burrows states that we sold off the site for a low price. This is simply untrue. The council went through a competitive disposal process and selected Hollybrook Homes as the purchaser because of both the price they were able to offer and their strong track record of sympathetically redeveloping similar properties elsewhere. This administration has always been alive to the concerns of local people, and in sympathetically converting the town hall, we wanted a developer who knew how to match their ideas with local character, whilst retaining this historic building. It would also be wrong to suggest that the town hall could be used for a school. The adopted planning brief, which itself was a subject to public consultation, made it clear that the building is inherently unsuitable, with only the old council chamber being big enough to accommodate class sizes. The building would therefore have required substantial refurbishment at considerable cost, and would still not have been a modern, fit-for-purpose building, and of course would have used up valuable schools' capital funding that could not then have been spent elsewhere. That is why this administration has chosen to provide purpose-built schooling facilities to meet the unprecedented growth in pupil demand. At times, this has meant difficult choices, but I can assure your readers that this is always in the children's best interests, and these are put first and foremost in those decisions. I hope this sets the record straight.
And I have a letter from G.A. Musey of Mitchell Road, Palmer's Green. In response to David Hughes' letter, Time to Value Our Quality of Life, opinion, Wednesday, March the 5th, I believe closing all residential roads at one end to reduce through traffic and benefit cyclists is a step too far, because stopping traffic and the flexibility of movement would cause chaos and unwarranted congestion on remaining major roads. The closure would seriously delay all emergency services, delivery and service vehicles and dial-a-ride buses, which provide a door-to-door service for disabled and elderly residents. Residents, including those with no off-street parking, would have difficulty turning to exit, particularly if residents' cars were parked along the road. Mr. Hughes supports the closure on the grounds that it would improve quality of life, but we live in the age of the car, and he overlooks the fact that people buy a car for the pleasure it gives. It is a part of family life and improves our quality of life with its mobility. Rat running is mentioned, but all motorists are rat runners because they all look for the shortcut and try to avoid congested roads. Mr. Hughes blames the car for loss of children's independence. What does he mean, and at what age? Most teenagers can't wait to get a car of their own, and the Highway Code defines the management of young children in a traffic environment. We live in the age of the car. There is no going back. Mr. Hughes' vision of leafy roads devoid of traffic is a vision of the past.
Now we've finished the letters and we're back to normal news. An MP who has been campaigning for tighter curbs on dog owners has welcomed a raft of tougher sentences for owners whose animals are out of control. Conservative MP for Enfield Southgate, David Burrows, has lobbied from the backbenches as well as from his ministerial aid position inside the Department of Environmental, Food and Rural Affairs to bring about a change in the way dangerous dogs are tackled, with a focus on the deed, not breed. Now, the legislation has been given the royal seal of approval, and people with out-of-control dogs could kill someone can be locked up for 14 years. Mr. Burrows, who owns a golden Labrador, Chumley, was adamant that the law needed beefing up to concentrate on punishing irresponsible dog owners. We need to focus on the deed, not the breed, Mr. Burrows told the Advertiser. The new legislation will mean that if a dog attacks someone, a member of the public or a postman, even if the attack happens on the owner's private property, the owner will still be liable for the attack. Another new element of the law is that if an out-of-control dog attacks another dog, such as a guide dog, the owner can now be sentenced for up to 3 years in prison. I am particularly pleased that compulsory microchipping is coming in with this legislation, as this will really force the owners of out-of-control dogs to take responsibility for their pets and stop them from developing status dogs, said Mr. Burrows. The new law was granted royal assent last week and is expected to become law in May.
There is no evidence that frogs and invertebrates were found dead after debris from a nearby construction site was discovered in a waterway, the Environment Agency has said. Kim Coleman, who fronts a campaign against the Cat Hill housing development, found bricks, dust and chemicals in a stream leading into Pims Brook at Oak Hill Nature Reserve. She believed the pollution came from the development on the former Middlesex University campus in Cockfosters, where L&Q plans to build 231 homes. Ms. Coleman told the Enfield Independent how a concerned ranger at the nature reserve asked her to take a look. She said, "I took photographs of what are clearly bricks, dust and chemicals coming from the site. We found 4 frogs dead, and the ranger informed me that all the invertebrates would have been wiped out as a result of this." Andrew Dismore, London Assembly member for Barnet and Camden, then sent a letter to the Chief Executive of the Environment Agency, Dr. Paul Leinster, demanding he uses his powers to halt construction on the site while Pims Brook is tested. Mr. Dismore said, "It's killed off the frogs, bugs and creepy crawlies that are vital to the brook, and all that pollution will find its way into major water sources. What is going on at Cat Hill is environmental vandalism. The Environment Agency has the powers of enforcement. It just needs to use them." But, in a statement, the Environment Agency said, "We are aware of the concerns raised about potential contaminants entering the watercourse in Oak Hill Park in North London. Our environment officers have visited the site and found no evidence to confirm that the sandy deposits had come from the Cat Hill demolition site, but we will continue to monitor the situation." A spokesman from L&Q said, "We're pleased that the Environment Agency was able to visit the site and confirm that there is no contamination entering the water as a result of our activities. We are committed to managing the ponds and creating a better environment for local wildlife in the long term."
A schoolgirl who won recognition from judges in a global art competition has seen her work on show at the Natural History Museum. Kirsty Nazita, 12, entered the David Shepherd Wildlife Foundation's It's Our World contest along with her fellow students at Heron Hall Academy in Nightingale Road, Edmonton. Kirsty created masks taking inspiration from disasters around the world. She said, "My piece is about people who have lost their homes in forest fires around the world. I chose the moss because they look sad, and this shows how the people would feel if they lost their homes and family. I used mod rock to create texture and make my piece 3D, then painted burning trees in the background. I really enjoyed using mod rock because it was relaxing." Describing how she felt when she heard she had won, she said, "I was shocked and speechless. I feel really excited and proud." Kirsty attended an award ceremony at the Natural History Museum on Thursday, where she viewed her work displayed alongside the other prize winners' art. She also received an award from David Shepherd and the guest of honour, television vet and wildlife presenter Steve Leonard. Karen Irvine, Kirsty's art teacher at Heron Hall, said, "We are absolutely delighted for Kirsty and are very proud of her achievement. It is both a pleasure and a privilege to teach such a gifted young artist. We are thrilled that her talent has been recognised by such a prestigious organisation."
Dozens of young number crunchers came together to solve maths puzzles on World Pi Day. Raynham Primary School in Raynham Avenue, Edmonton, hosted a workshop for a group of 120 Year 6 students from 14 primary schools on Friday. While some secondary school students, and no doubt many adults, have yet to grasp the concept of pi, many of the young pupils were able to swiftly recite the famous mathematical constant. Affectionately known as Mr. Numbervator, maths consultant Isaac Anoum told the 10-year-olds, "Many of you here could sit your GCSEs now." The workshops are held 7 times a year and were started by the maths and drama teacher 2 years ago to cater for the talents of high-achieving Year 6 students. Last week's event also marked the end of National Maths Week.
A devoted wife who has watched her husband battle a degenerative illness for 4 years will be taking part in a charity skydive in a bid to raise money and awareness of the condition. Davina Rivers of Gordon Road, Enfield, has cared for her husband Eric as he has fought motor neuron disease, an incurable condition that attacks the central nervous system, gradually incapacitating sufferers. The couple were featured in the BBC series DIY SOS in 2011, when their home was adapted to help them cope with Eric's loss of mobility. "I wanted to do a skydive because of all the times I have wanted to scream at motor neuron disease," the mum of 3 told the Advertiser. "To make some noise about it, to make people understand how bloody awful it is. I want to let people know that we need funding for research so the Motor Neuron Disease Association can find a cure." Although Davina admits she is terrified at the prospect of throwing herself out of a plane over the Somerset countryside alongside her daughter Summer and 35 other campaigners determined to raise money for research into the disease, she is determined to overcome her demons. She said, "I look at Eric and I think, you have fought such a hard battle for so long. I can do this. And if he is naughty, I threaten him and say he's coming with me up in the plane," she jokes. The campaigners are aiming to bring in a total of £20,000, and Davina is hoping she can personally raise a few thousand herself. "Anything more than £2,000 would be amazing," she added. Davina is thrilled that she will be jumping alongside her oldest daughter, Summer, who will be 16 by the time of the skydive on May 24th. "She's not scared at all, but I'm terrified," she admitted. To donate to Davina and Summer's cause, visit www.justgiving.com/Davina/Rivers.
specialists have been called in to prevent further flooding of an outdoor gym. Broomfield Park in Palmer's Green was inundated with rain during winter and has resulted in the council calling in flooding experts to help prevent the problem reoccurring. Councillor Chris Bond, Cabinet Member for Environment, said, "We can't have a situation where a popular exercise area is flooded, so we're taking steps to sort this problem out once and for all. I'd like to apologise for any disruption the flooding has caused, but we are looking for a long-term solution that means the play area will be dry and usable regardless of the weather conditions in the future. When we have considered all the options and chosen the best way to tackle this problem, we'll get to work and carry out the required works."
It's not every day that a teacher sets up a green room to create a zombie activity to inspire a class of Year 6 science students. So it will come as no surprise that this year's Primary School Science Teacher of the Year is the programme's creator, Ruth Shallcross of Lavender Primary School. On Friday, Dr. Martin Hollis of the Primary Science Teaching presented Ms. Shallcross with her certificate, along with £1,000 for both her and her school in Lavender Road, Enfield. The Trust receives recommendations and assesses schools across the UK to determine, among other things, the teacher who best demonstrates enthusiasm for science. In referring to the selection, Dr. Collins noted Miss Shallcross's ability to be imaginative in class and complimented her communication skills. Mr. Shallcross, who went to school in both England and Singapore, said they started off as a contemporary dancer and also worked as a web editor before entering the teaching profession 6 years ago. Upon receiving the certificate, she conveyed the benefits of partnership working with colleagues, including Science Coordinator Gemma Whiteoak and School Improvement Service Senior Consultant Jason Harding. Ms. Shallcross, an advanced skills teacher, added that science was the number one career choice for her students and remarked on the absolute honour associated with winning the award. Head teacher of the school, Matthew Kleinamar, said, "It validates good practice and gives the green light for fun, creative learning."
We have reached the end of our programme for this week. Thank you for listening. So from the team of
Joan,
Rob and myself, Lillian, with Cassandra and Colin on the controls, it's goodbye,
bye-bye,
cheerio,
bye-bye.
Please remember to turn over the address label in your postal packet, put the cassette into the packet and return it to us as soon as possible in readiness for the next edition. The Enfield Talking newspaper will be with you again in 1 week's time.